Hello everyone, it's Jean from the Inky Studio. Welcome, welcome. I hope your new year is starting out well for you. I am working on a project this month and it is an all junk journal. And my challenging myself to use just only stuff that would be thrown away otherwise. This is the third installment of the series, and I will link down below the first two. And the first one is showing you the different ideas about what junk to collect. The second one is turning this gift bag into the cover of the journal that I'm going to be working in and putting the signatures in and that type of thing. And so this one's going to be about taking some of that junk that we've collected and make ephemera out of it. I want to talk about these little postcards. And these little postcards here is what you get in the mail quite often. And we're going to transform these. We're going to talk about magazines. We're going to talk about now there's different ways of doing it, I'm sure, but how I approach magazines, what I'm looking for, and then what do I do with these images. And we're also going to be using gesso, and I think in the first episode I told you that's one of your best friends in transforming junk. And we're going to use stamps. We're going to use scrapbook paper that's been, I saved little tiny scraps of it, but also book pages. We're going to, of course, be using glue, and I have this glue stick, which is my favorite, and I will put a link down on Amazon where to find this. I think for some people they can't find it at Walmart, which doesn't surprise me. Some places stock it and some places don't. But I'll put a link down below for that, and we're going to be using, of course, inks, or if you don't have distress inks, perhaps you have some watercolors or you have acrylic paint, little bits and pieces of that. Anyways, we're going to try to incorporate some of these things into our junk. So the first one here is going to require a nail file, and this came from the dollar store. You can get the longer ones as well, the ones that look like this, but they're even bigger. So that if you have sandpaper instead, that'd be okay. If it was the lowest, like I think 000 or something like that, sandpaper, you can use that as well. But these work really well. I like them. And so when you get these, there's this shiny sheen on these, if you see. And now, in order for the gesso or any kind of paint or anything to take on this shiny slick surface, you're going to need to scuff it up. And so I just merely go over, and I have like a medium pressure, I believe. I'm trying to obliterate these words as much as I can, but I'm just going over the whole thing. Now I do happen to like these colors in here, so I'm not going to do that one too heavily, but I certainly don't want, this verbiage to show. So I'm going to kind of go over that, and it'll just depend on what you've got. Maybe you don't like anything on that postcard and you want to have it all kind of blend away. So just go over it. Now, as you go over it, you can see what you're essentially doing is you're lifting off the first layer of paper and that waxiness or whatever makes it shiny, and you've got this little dust. You've got like dust from that, so you'll be needing a baby wipe or something that is damp to kind of take it up. And then what I like to do too is I like to take a little brush and just sort of get off the excess scrapings that are on there, like so. Now I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going over this with my gesso. Now I don't have an expensive gesso, it's just, I don't know. Let's see, who is it? It is, it's just, I don't even know that name. So it's just the most inexpensive one I could find, I guess. And I'm going to go over it with the gesso. Now, depending on your design, you may need to do the gesso a couple times. But like I say, I don't mind that the colors show forth. I just not crazy about the words being too distinct there. So I'm kind of making sure I get more on that area. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe again and just remove a little bit. I'm just removing a little bit for those colors to kind of come forth a little bit. All right. Now I'm just going to let this dry, and this does have to be completely dry before you go on to the next step. Now I happen to have one that I did earlier, and here it is. This is this one. Did the exact same process, and on this one, if you can kind of see, there's like this brick wall, a photograph of this brick wall, and I kind of liked that brick just coming through a little tiny bit. Now if I didn't like that, I would put another coat of gesso on it, but I kind of like that a little bit. Now this is dry. I'm going to go over this again, just a little bit. That's it. Just to scuff it up a tiny bit. Now I don't have a glass topper here. I wish I did, but I do have a paper plate, sort of a waxy, with a waxy side on it. So that's what I'm going to be using, and I'm going to take the Distress Oxide, the fired brick, and just going to put in a couple little dabs inside of there, like so. Take water, a little spray bottle with water in it, and give it a couple little sprays. And then I'm just going to take my and I'm just going to put it in there, here and there. That looks pretty cool. All right, and then I will come through and maybe take up some of the really sloppy places in there. There, just like that. All right, and so we'll just sort of let that dry. You do have to let it, if you're going to add more than one color, you do need to let it dry completely before you add the second color, especially with the oxide inks. So we will just let this dry. And I also prepared that the same way, and I'm just going to go in. And this is very, you know, you don't know what you're going to get until you do it. You can't really plan too well exactly how it's going to look, but that's sort of the fun of it, is just trying to see what you're going to get out of it. And of course, if you don't like something, if it's too dark, you can go in with a wet baby wipe, and you probably could do it with a paper towel, but I think the baby wipes to me really work the very best. Okay, and so now we have this multicolored card, and I might add a third color to it. I think I'm going to be adding a blue to it. Now for this, I ended up using the broken china for the blue. I liked that a little bit better, so it is a little bit on there. But now we have something that is significantly altered, and now we're going to decorate it. I'm going to place, first of all, decorations that will cover up the wording, because I got rid of most of it. Now, had I put on a second coat of gesso, probably would have been a little better, but this is okay, because I was planning on decorating the tag anyways. So I went through a magazine, and then I found this design here. So I just essentially went through and saw the different things in this magazine, trying to figure out what would go nice with these colors. And I'm really liking this here. So I'm going to cut that out, and we'll be using this here. And I might just cut out more than I need. Debating on whether to tear it or not. Whoops, looks like I cut out 2 pages there. I think I am going to tear it like so on the edge. Now, of course, this could be anything, any kind of paper, but it's just something that I think will suit my purpose. And we'll just glue this down. And let me glue it on top of here. so I can get right on the edges. Yep. So this is not very heavy magazine paper. It's regular normal weight of the paper, and we'll just burnish that right on down there. So we got a little bit of that, and I can come over here and trim that off. Now what I need is I need a focal point for my card. So I've got, essentially what I've done here is I built up a background. And now I need a bit of a focal point for that. And if you can believe it, I went to my Florida library to see what magazines I could get for free. And this was in the bin, Michigan Birdwatching. I had to come all the way down here to get a birdwatching book. But anyhow, they had these beautiful little photographs of birds. Now, you know, when you work with junk, a lot of what you're going to probably get, especially in magazines and things like that, are actual photographs. But that's fine. I mean, I think it'll look just stunning to have this little bird right there in the middle with this little red breast there. I think it would go nice with the red that's in there. And so there is my focal point. But when you use all junk, the whole thing is that it's serendipity. It's whatever you come across with. And it's a good exercise because it makes you, it grows your creativity. And you're trying to look at things in new ways and put them together. And, you know, I do tend to like vintage, but this process, you know, kind of makes me go outside my borders, what I normally would do, and just makes me think a little differently. So it's really a very good exercise. Now, I'm probably never going to create anything that's going to hang up in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but I'm going to create things that I enjoy, and that's really the whole point of putting together a journal anyways, is to create things for yourself that you enjoy. So I'm not going to cut that yet. So now this is still, you can't write on this, and it still isn't very stiff, you know, because after we sanded it, it did kind of take away a little layer. So now you'll have to mount this to something. That is, you can mount it to cardstock for sure, but my challenge is I'm trying really hard to use junk stuff, or stuff that, you know, I'm not going to use any other way. And old calendars are really good for backing, because most of them are made out of a bit of a cardstock. Not all calendars, but many calendars are. Or you can go to a food box, a cereal or a food box. Also, you can use that as well. But or you can just resort to cardstock. It's fine. Nobody's going to arrest you for it. So I'm going to go ahead and just mount this to this, and I'm going to use the glue stick because I think I'm going to test the limits of the glue stick. I don't normally use glue sticks, even though I do like this brand. I normally use glitter glue or fabric tack, but you know what, I think I might just see how this is going to work if I use only this. And let me just put this on here, and then I will cut this out. So now I've got that calendar back down there, and you can write on that, but if you had something that you really couldn't write on very well, you could put a coat of gesso on the back of it, and that would allow you to write as well. I'm going to go ahead and make a tag out of this, and so I have this old card here that I have made sort of a template out of, and get easy cut that out. So we have the tag shape. I got a regular hole punch. I'm just going to punch a hole in there. And then for the tie, I have this scrap of fabric. I think it's Tim Holtz map cloth, but a scrap of that, and then I'm just going to give it a tie. It could be anything. It could be string, it could be twine, it could be a ribbon that you found. I did think about using this ribbon here that was part of the junk I collected, but probably would have went okay. I'm just going to go ahead with this then and use this here. There we go. And now I'm not completely done with this. And I'll tell you why. Because the next step that we're going to do is what I like to do with magazines is I like to go through, before I cut them up and do anything else to them, I like to go through and find words and quotes inside of them. So here's the magazine, and I'm just going to go through and I'm going to read some of the words in here and collect ones that jump out to me, and I want to make sure I don't destroy something on the back side that I like. So I have collected some words, and sometimes you can find a whole phrase that you like, but often than not you may have to just take a few words here and there. So I am going to cut out the word hour, and I'm going to cut out the word friends, just like this. Now you could go through and cut out every word that appeals to you, making sure that you're not cutting something on the other side you like, but I just tend to do it a phrase at a time. When I feel like I want a phrase for something, then I look through and find one. But there's different ways that you can do that, of course. And there we go. We have, and then I've got birds here. I'll put a little bird down there. And if it's different fonts, that's all the better. I think it's best that they are all different. And this does not have to be a real super perfect cutout either. You can just snip it out the way you want. And I'm just going to glue down here my words. And there we go. And so this is a little tag that I love it. It has stuff that means a lot to me, things that I enjoy. And you can never tell that this was at one time a mailer. And so that's all ready to go, all ready to write on. You can, of course, distress the edges if you'd like. I'm not going to do that. But this is ready for my journal. So there's that project. Now the next project we're going to do is also involving magazines. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find a full page that we like, a full page of a magazine that we like. And this is the one that I chose. I just think this is so cool. So I would not recommend tearing magazines out because so often you end up ripping it. So what I suggest you do is you take a craft knife and just run it down there, and if you end up cutting more than one page out, oh well, that doesn't matter, does it? There we go. So that is nicely cut out. Now this is going to involve freezer paper. Now you're going to want a piece of freezer paper that's a little bigger than your magazine page. And you're also going to need parchment paper. I forgot to mention that. You'll need a piece of parchment paper that will cover the freezer paper so you don't get that coating, that plastic coating on your iron. So, and it won't stick to the parchment paper as well. So you want to make sure that's all covered. And I have an iron without any moisture, with no water, and I don't know, it's on a average setting, let's see, mine goes all the way up to 6. I'm like on a 5. I don't know, just probably like you would iron clothing with, cotton clothing. And you're just going to iron over here, pressing down firmly, and I kind of like go over it once just to kind of get it to stick, and then I just take my time in every little place as I go down here, like so. So freezer paper used to be, in my day, have wax on it, like a heavy wax, but nowadays it's a plastic coating. So that plastic then is going to be fusing onto the back of the magazine paper to give it a nice foundation, make it a little heavier and easier to work with when you're making things that need to be a little bit more sturdy. So I think that should do it about right. We're going to let that cool a little bit. Let's just peel this off. And as you can see, you know, it's on there. I can't, well, I could peel it off if I had to, but it's on there pretty good. Pretty well. I might just do a couple places here where it is lifting off. I'm just holding it over there, like so. Now sometimes when you do this, your magazine paper may wrinkle a little bit, but it should hold up pretty good. All right. Now, let that cool a bit, and I'm going to cut it out. Yeah. So that is nice and heavy. So there, you can see there's wrinkles here. You know what I might do is I might just go ahead and press the back of it here. Oh, that was a pretty good move. Look at that. Yeah, that was a pretty good move. Pressing the back of the paper. Okay. All right, nice, 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 nice. So now we're ready to, when it cools off, we're going to be making an envelope. And so we have this nice sturdy envelope that will take a beating, as they say. It's really lovely, feels really nice, and I just think this turned out so beautiful. Love it. And this idea of fusing freezer paper to this paper is not my idea. This came from the gal at Chasing Paper. She did a video about a year ago, I think, on that. But fusing freezer paper has been something done for a long time, like for fabric and other things. So it does make sense to do this. So that is something you can do with magazines. And then let's move on to magazines and do some more with them. This is going to be something that we do with our nail files again. And we're going to be using plates. The plates for embossing, dry embossing. But I'm using the raised side. Now for my paper, so let's try this one right here. And I think this is so cool with the light and the dark. And I'm going to put this feather down here like so. And I'm going to get my nail file. And we're going to come in here. And I'm going to rub over it And I think I'm using like medium pressure. You know, it's not too heavy because you don't want to rip holes. And you do have to kind of judge, you know, how thin your paper is. But you're just kind of coloring it out. And that just happens to be this type of design. And so now we have sort of an interest there. And it may not show up so well on camera, but I certainly can see it. Yeah, so I really think the darker papers probably, or the darker colors, are going to show up the best there. There we go. So that's really cool. That gives you something else to do with the background, so it's just not so like in your face plain. It creates a layer of interest, a layer of mixed media without the mess, as they say. So that looks really cool. So we could do things, we can make tags out of these type of images. So that's something you can do with magazines, and I'll probably make a tag out of this and maybe show it to you at the end. So I went ahead and I added a little bit of blue there on the edge of it, just to kind of make it more like the rule of three different sections, you know, one wide, one a little less, one a little bit more narrow. And I can't make peace with this bird because it's not, it's really dark and you really can't make it out that well. So I want to cover that up, which led me to another tip that you might want to try, and that you can elevate any magazine picture by matting it. So you're going to glue it down with a little bit of edge all the way around, like so. And we'll just put that over like so. And so that really makes all the difference by putting that mat around it. So we'll just glue that down and get the edges first, because those are really the most important part. That guy, like so. And now we have a nice looking little, wait, my hand's off here. And we'll just make a tag out of this. And maybe I'll do this freehand and flip it over for the other side like that. So there we go. And so we have a tag here that is interesting to me, and I might find a word or something I want to put up there. So there is that tag, and I'll have to look for a ribbon or something to put inside there. So here are our 3 projects for today. Thank you so much for watching and viewing. I really appreciate your support. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so that you can see what we're going to do next. We're going to work on a little bit more with the ephemera and get into decorating the pages of the journal in the next video. So thanks a lot for watching. Bye.